Hey guys, in this video I will talk about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, what I think about them. Um, so, in short, Bitcoin, yeah, this is not going to be a technical detail or an advisory what you should buy or what you should not buy, just a general thought about what your approach should be and what you should know before you even decide whether you want to get involved or not. So basically, Bitcoin and all the altcoins, alternative coins, there are hundreds of them, so I'm not going to list all of them. I will mention probably one or two besides Bitcoin that I think are promising. But in general, Bitcoin, whether you should get involved in, first of all, Bitcoin is an interesting technology, interesting what it turned out to be. But I see a lot of advertisement and a lot of buzz around uh, about encouraging people to get involved, trade currencies, trade cryptocurrencies, buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like gold. A lot of celebrities are doing that. You can see ads all around the world, famous people telling you to buy cryptocurrencies, and because it's the best investment, or at least they compare it to gold as a long-term investment. I think right now when I'm doing this video, I think that a little bit went down, so it's not, I think just within a few months, 1 or 2 months, the whole buzz start to slow down, and the whole cryptocurrency bubble appears to go away. Luckily, by the way. But I just want to give you a very simplistic view of how you should deal with cryptocurrencies. First and foremost, all cryptocurrencies are gambling. Um, Whether if you want to invest in cryptocurrencies, probably you can make money, but this is exactly the same as you go to a casino and you just put your money on the red or the black, and if it turns out to be red, then you win. If it's just not, then you lose. So there is a possibility of making money on cryptocurrencies, but it's pretty similar to gambling, or you also can make money, but more likely you will lose money. And that's exactly the same for all cryptocurrencies. Now, about the future of Bitcoin, if I think about Bitcoin and altcoins, even though there are tons of altcoins that they try to differentiate themselves, one says it's focusing on security, the other says it's focusing on enterprise use, third is focusing on privacy. So they all try to differentiate themselves. And apparently, there are two categories in altcoins that are actually make sense from a human point of view. Very interesting. One is the fun coins, those coins that are not promising you any value. They just say, okay, this is fun to use. Go ahead and use it and buy it. And to me, that's shockingly enough, that's a valid point to buy cryptocurrencies. One might say this is not a reasonable argument to buy cryptocurrencies, but it turns out that we are humans and we are not reasonable. And if we think something is fun, that it doesn't have to have any logic behind it, we're going to get involved. And that's why the fun coins like the Dogecoin or the CryptoKitties, those collectible crypto assets, are actually make sense. It's funny, there are hundreds of cryptocurrencies that are trying to convince you through reasonable channels, like, okay, this is secure, this is tied to the US dollar. So there are various reasons why they try to convince you, okay, this is good for you, and none of them really convincing, really. But when there's a cryptocurrency which tells you, okay, just keep it and it's fun, it looks good, then most people are like, oh, okay, now I'm interested, now I'm listening. So it's funny how we, in our own eyes, we are reasonable and logical, but in reality, we're totally the opposite. So one category that I think that will remain with us, obviously Bitcoin will remain with us. That was the biggest. It's a historical thing. Bitcoin is more than a cryptocurrency at this point. But I still would not invest in it anytime because it's still, as I said, it's still gambling. It's backed by hope. It's backed by manipulation, etc. But the price itself is extremely volatile and it's unpredictable. So it's just gambling. Don't go with it. But Bitcoin will be here with us for a long time, I think. Fun coins will be here for a long run, like Dogecoin and CryptoKitties. Even also, the price is exactly the same. I would not. They're unpredictable, so I would not invest in them unless I have just money to throw away. And I'm crazy that day, or I'm just want to do something fun. Then I would do it, but I'm not. I'm not there yet. And the third category that I want to mention out of all the cryptocurrencies and all the altcoins is Monero. And the reason why I have to mention Monero besides all the other altcoins because it's used by criminals. And I know it's not how it advertises itself. It usually advertises itself as the secure and privacy-focused cryptocurrency, which is true, but that's exactly the reason why it's very popular among criminals and the dark web. And most people forget that Bitcoin blew up and became big because of the same reasons. Most people don't know that the Bitcoin at the beginning. The story about Bitcoin is that they usually say the guy who bought like one pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin. That's the first story they say, and then they say, okay, you see the bubble where it came, Bitcoin from there to where it is today, $5,000, $10,000, whatever, $20,000. And that's not true. I mean, they they skip the most important part is that Bitcoin used to be the favorite currency for criminals because the so-called unable to track and unable to identify, even though that's not even true anymore. There are techniques how people can track and identify Bitcoin. Most Bitcoin exchanges on the West requires you today to upload your IDs and stuff like that. And even if you find one which doesn't, certain agencies can identify you no matter what. So this really not. There's no such thing on the internet in today's digital age where you are untrackable 100%. There's no such thing. But the thing is, that used to be compared to first of all, compared to the traditional methods of payments like credit card and stuff. Compared to that, that's pretty difficult to track. But it's not impossible. So that's why it was extremely popular among criminals, and, selling drugs, selling guns, etc., etc. And that's why Bitcoin blew up, and that's why Bitcoin became big. And then once it became big, started to get popularity. Famous people get involved. They put money in it, so it had its own ride of on its own. But again, that's why it got to a certain point. That's why it got to the critical mass level where actually people started to pay attention. And once people started to pay attention, it started to work on its own. It's still, by the way, that's already getting lower and lower. So people are probably abandoning and trading companies are getting their money out of it, so you can see on the price. But anyway, the important thing is that the reason why Bitcoin was that popular and became so big was simply because criminals started to use it, and that's actually a reasonable backing. That's a very solid foundation for any currency. If criminals vote for it, if criminals start to use it. And the reason is because the need for services and products what criminals offer, they are here with us. They used to be here with us, and they will be here with us. That's not going away. That's just a human nature. We tend to have desires to things that are not legal or not easily, or not popular or whatever. And there will be the dark web layer which will satisfy that need. So and since the criminals abandoned Bitcoin as it became popular, and you know, the ransomware and all those things, the more and more money started to appear in Bitcoin, and criminals get more attention. The agencies get more attention too. So they develop techniques to track and identify behind Bitcoin, and because that simple reason, criminals abandoned Bitcoin, and now they move to Monero. And I think this is a very solid foundation for a cryptocurrency. That's why I mentioned Monero next to Bitcoin. So for the future, and if I have to bet, and let me sum up what I'm trying to say here. There are three categories I might mention. One is Bitcoin, you know, the first and the biggest. It will be here with us. The second, the fun coins like Dogecoin and CryptoKitties, those will be here with us because they are already, they're not trying to be reasonable in the first place, and they're just trying to be fun. And people like that when people are irrational and enjoy fun. So that will be here with us. And the third category is Monero, which is advertises itself as a privacy and security focused cryptocurrency, but in reality, it's mainly used by criminals for illegal transactions. That's a pretty solid and reliable foundation for any cryptocurrencies. So these are the three cryptocurrencies groups that I would like to mention. But the most important part is the way I started my video is that if you're thinking about investing, if you're thinking about getting in, always think about as gambling. So if you want to do it, only do it with money that you can afford to lose. This is extremely important, and take it very seriously, because the chances are way higher that you're going to lose than that you're going to win. So yeah, that's my take on cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and Monero, and the fun coins. All right, thank you guys.